Welcome into Rounding the Bases, the podcast about culture and leadership with a baseball twist, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust. Hashtag no stopping you. My name is Joel Goldberg. Enterprise Bank and Trust was founded by entrepreneurs with the core focus of serving privately owned small and medium-sized businesses who have a story to tell. Enterprise Bank's commitment is to listen, learn, and guide clients to a lifetime of financial success. Enterprise Bank, together there's no stopping you. I'm coming to you from the Kansas City Audiovisual Studios. They create engaging spaces. Check them out at kcav.com. I've got a really cool episode here today on Rounding the Bases with three guests, and I could very simply say that they're opening up an ice cream shop, and that really wouldn't tell any of the story whatsoever. And I'm not opposed to talking about ice cream. Probably should avoid it a little bit, like many others. Thanksgiving was pretty good to me. But this is so much deeper than that, and really one of the coolest things that I've heard about in a long time. And so we've got a lot to talk about the Golden Scoop, which is going to be an episode, yes, about some ice cream, but so much more about inclusivity and opportunity and much, much more. So I am happy right now to bring in my three guests right now, Lindsay Krumbholz, Michelle Reeves, and Amber Schreiber, who are off on a really amazing journey right now. Ladies, thanks so much for joining the podcast. And Lindsay, let me just start with you. Give me a brief overview of what the Golden Scoop is, because this is not just your standard ice cream shop.
Yeah, no, it's not. So just briefly, about 17 years ago, I started working with individuals with disabilities in the Olathe School District. Started with an individual with autism. I didn't really know much about autism at the time, but him and I just made an instant connection. And I wanted to learn more. So I went and learned ABA, which is Applied Behavior Analysis, at a private school, and then started in-home therapy shortly after. Worked with birth through 3, and then my focus turned to young adults. And some of the parents questions were, where are my kids going to work when they get older? What's their future going to look like? And it got me thinking. And I shortly after had heard of a coffee shop on the East Coast that employed individuals with disabilities. And then not too long after that, heard about an ice cream shop in Dallas, Texas that provided employment for individuals with disabilities as well. I approached my sister, Amber, who has a business background, and she ran with the business plan. And I had the opportunity to work with Michelle at another nonprofit, and we became instant friends. And she is super creative, and was just a welcome addition to the missing puzzle piece that we had at the Golden Scoop. So that's how the Golden Scoop came about.
Okay, so we have this collaboration of three women, and then amazing talent that's going to be coming in there. And yes, of course, you want to run a successful business, right? I mean, this is about providing a great service and a great atmosphere and all the things that any small business owner would want. But then also, Amber, there's the opportunity here. Tell me about the employees that you will have. You're coming in on the business side of it, but tell me about your employees and what the goals are here.
Yeah, so the goals are to employ as many of our super scoopers, who we're calling them, as possible. I don't know if you know this, Joel, but there's a 80% unemployment rate of individuals with developmental disabilities that, are unemployed, and they deserve a ton of opportunity because they are extremely talented and gifted at a lot of things, and people just don't know. So the goal of the Golden Scoop is to give our community the opportunity to see and have our super scoopers showcase their talents to those customers. And, eventually, maybe our super scoopers are with us for a long period of time, but maybe their careers get extended to maybe a corporation like an Apple or an REI or something like that, because there are positions that these individuals are fully capable of fulfilling.
It's amazing. And I want to read a little bit from the website, which people can find at thegoldenscoop.com. It says, changing lives one scoop at a time. The Golden Scoop is a life-changing nonprofit ice cream and coffee shop. We provide innovative and meaningful employment for individuals with developmental disabilities and delicious ice cream and coffee to the Kansas City community. Every scoop of our made-from-scratch ice cream, cup of coffee, or inspired event is carefully designed to bring joy and purpose to the lives of all involved. And Michelle, I've got to think, I mean, that's not just true for the adults that you're employing and certainly providing them with not just employment, but as Amber mentioned, long-term opportunity, whether it be here or elsewhere. That's got to be fulfilling for everybody involved, including all of you.
You know, it actually really is. You know, we've long said that the goal of the Golden Scoop is it's all about our super scoopers. It starts and begins, you know, it begins and ends with our super scoopers, and we've involved them in every process of what we're doing. Lindsay has just been super creative about our employment approach. You know, often individuals with developmental disabilities are working in sheltered workshops, or they have one task that they do just all day, or it's janitorial based. And we've decided that that's not good enough for our super scoopers. They are very, very talented. They're very capable. And they all have a skill set that they truly enjoy. So what makes us unique is that we have many different jobs that they can do at the Golden Scoop. And not only that, they get to work with me to create a flavor of ice cream. Every month we have a Super Scooper of the Month. And they get to work with us and create an ice cream flavor based on the things that they love. And what that does is it translates into other jobs for them. They get to market it. They get to promote it on social media. They'll see that ice cream named after them. It's a great way for us to gauge the market to see if that flavor's popular. It can make the menu and be there on a permanent basis. So we've really tried to create fun and innovative employment while still showcasing the talents of our super scoopers.
It's amazing because, look, any kid, I mean, I've got two teenagers, and they just want to be able to go work somewhere and make a little bit of money, right? We were all there at a certain point, but this is so much bigger than that. And Lindsay, I wanted to ask you, because you have so much of that experience working with that population from a young age and on. And my wife, I understand so much of this because my wife has been a speech pathologist for many, many years, and she worked with a lot of the same kids that you were working with. And one of the big passions she had was to help these kids transition into that adult life. And oftentimes with her, when she was working in the school districts many years ago, it was taking those kids to the grocery store and, you know, teaching them how to work for themselves, to have all these life skills. And so now this isn't just come in there, as Michelle said, and scoop some ice cream. This is buy-in as an employee of a business in doing everything on the creative side too. What does that do for these kids or these adults in terms of their skills and setting them up for life?
I mean, I think just to kind of piggyback on what Amber and Michelle said, each of these individuals is very talented in many things. And I think just not with ice cream or coffee, we're going to be able to be a place where they can showcase their talents. We're going to have a stage because a lot of these individuals like to perform. So whatever their talent is, or whatever, we have another individual who's going to work for us that loves to be around kids. And so I think the great thing about the Golden Scoop, and we'll be able to provide, we're thinking of jobs that she can do to create activities when kids come in to get ice cream, so that she can work with that population that she likes to work with. So I think the Golden Scoop we're going to be able to showcase what their passion is, even if it's not just, scooping ice cream or coffee. A lot of them love to perform, and we're going to be able to provide that at the Golden Scoop for them.
I think one of the really interesting things too for the three of you, Amber, is that you all have not just different roles, but different backgrounds too. So how much does that collaboration with the three of you help in terms of your different abilities?
It helps immensely because with the three of us, we're able to fulfill three pretty important lanes. My role specifically is more operational. And then with, being an ice cream coffee shop, you have Michelle, who has 10 years of experience in catering. And she also has multiple years in retail experience, so she can, help us with the point of sale system, and she knows how to market. And then with Lindsay, the biggest priority and our goal is to create opportunities for our super scoopers who are individuals with developmental disabilities. So therefore, Lindsay fulfills that role of being the behavior therapist and putting together the important programs and the work rotations to help our super scoopers succeed at the store and in life.
So I'm curious too. I mean, you guys obviously all have the connection, and with Amber and Lindsay being sisters, that's a lifetime connection. And now you add Michelle into the mix. But what was it like, Michelle, bringing the three of you together and creating this? I know, as you guys mentioned, you saw some models from around the country, but what was it like, especially during a pandemic, to kind of make this all come together?
It was really interesting. The nonprofit that Lindsay and I worked together prior to this did a great job of providing employment skills to individuals with developmental disabilities. They really weren't set up, and by no default, they're a wonderful organization. They're just set up a little bit differently than the Golden Scoop. It was always that nag in the back of our minds that, hey, we can expand on this and do something a little bit more and have groups like the organization that we used to work at come and participate at the Golden Scoop. The pandemic, I think, has just hit everybody hard. Everybody's so tired of hearing it. It did take us a little bit longer to get our 501c3 status, which set back our fundraising a little bit. And of course, has delayed construction just a tiny, tiny bit. But I think really on the flip side, everybody is so thirsty and hungry for a positive story that I think from a marketing standpoint, we've gotten a little bit of traction just because people are excited to hear about something happy. And ultimately, our store is going to be a super happy place to come. Our hope is that we educate the community about mainstreaming, much like what your wife encountered when she worked for the school districts. Mainstreaming is so important. I think it's important for two reasons. One, I think it's great for our super scoopers. And two, I think the community, once they kind of realize the talent that our employees have, it's going to open up a whole world for them, because really at the end of the day, we've already had over 40 families seek employment. We don't want to turn anybody away, but on the flip side of that, we can't employ everybody who wants to work at the Golden Scoop, not until we make more locations, which is in our 5-year plan. But, we need help solving this problem of this super high unemployment rate. The Golden Scoop can't do it by itself. So I think the community is really rallied because we're such a positive story. We're a happy place. You're going to come, you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to get a great scoop of ice cream or an incredible cup of coffee. But really, at the end of the day, our super scoopers are going to touch your life, and you're not going to forget that.
I have no doubt about that. And, it was interesting hearing Lindsay talk before about, some of the talents of these kids in singing. And look, some of us can sing, some of us cannot. When I say us, I'm not putting myself in the singing category, but I will tell you this. I think I told this to Michelle at one point when we talked on the phone, that I'm lucky enough to have in my life Rex Hudler's son. All of his sons, of course, but his son, Cade, who has Down syndrome, or as the Hudlers have said since the day he was born, they call it up syndrome, because he is such an up kid, as so many of those Down syndrome kids or adults are. You cannot help but feed off of their energy. And I will tell you right now, I hope he's not watching this, I would pay to watch Cade Hudler sing karaoke. It warms my heart every time, and he is a performer, and he loves that. And I'm just sitting here thinking, Lindsay, about the beautiful personalities of this population and what that feeling is going to be when people come in there to interact and get more than, as Michelle was talking about, just a scoop of coffee or a scoop of ice cream or a cup of coffee. I'm sure it's going to warm everyone's hearts.
I can promise you. I mean, like we've always said, if you're having a bad day, I think coming into the Golden Scoop, you're definitely going to walk out with a smile on your face. So, and really, it's not just about the ice cream and the coffee. It's about the individuals, and they just like to be around people, and they like to be around their community, and showcase their talents. So the Golden Scoop is going to be definitely the place for that.
Yeah, I can't wait. Amber, I wanted to ask you a little bit about just the business side of things, because business is business, right? I mean, and you've got that background, but how different is it putting a business plan and a business together for this? And Michelle just mentioned, I think, long-term 5-year plan, and I mean, I would think that the sky's the limit in terms of opportunity here. But how different of a project was this?
To be honest, I hadn't done a business plan since I was going after my master's degree. So it's been a while since I've done a business plan. But it was a lot of work. However, it was fun because all three of us are passionate about this mission and about putting this organization together. That it was really fun, and it was a collaboration of all three of us. And I leaned on other resources that were extremely helpful in the process, since I hadn't done this in a long time. So to get back on the saddle again was pretty nice. So
it's awesome. It sounds a lot of fun. We've already got a ton of people that are sending in messages on Facebook wanting to reach out and be involved and work. And so what I would say, and certainly we'll let everybody know how to get a hold of Lindsay and Amber and Michelle through the website or wherever as we wrap up the show in a little bit. And I suspect that as the word spreads, it already is spreading. You're going to hear, I know already have heard, so many people that want to be involved in this in some way or another. And maybe that's just as simply as coming in for a cup of coffee and experiencing it. Before I get to the baseball themed questions, I mentioned the website, thegoldenscoop.org. And so I would encourage everybody to go check that out. And for those that are watching on our live video stream, I could share a little bit of what that website looks like, because real cool to be able to see up. Let me make sure that I get the right thing there. See, I'm still learning here in this pandemic as we go to, let's see, here we go. Because you guys did a phenomenal job on the website. And I mentioned changing lives one scoop at a time. The Golden Scoop ice cream and coffee shop in Overland Park, Kansas. Unlike any other ice cream shop in town, our super scoopers are involved in every aspect of what we do, from marketing and merchandising to creating ice cream flavors and serving our community. And then I love it on here. We've got, and I guess this will change every month, the super scooper of the month. So it's a chance to really be able to highlight some of these kids or young adults and what they're doing, and their pictures, and there's bios and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, it's to me so cool to see the experience that everyone is getting. I think we'd all like for our kids to get more than just the experience of that, after school job, and they are getting these skills for the rest of a lifetime. So I want to commend you, all of you, for that. Let's talk about baseball themed questions now. Brought to you by Kissick Construction, trusted team, reliable partner. Check them out at kissickco.com. And I'm not sure if anyone wants to handle the home run question. Still early in the Golden Scoop process, but how about a home run in terms of the Golden Scoop or this process?
You want to let Amber take that one?
Okay, well, our biggest home run to date obviously was this past Giving Tuesday, where we received a sizable check from Veterans United, and it was a collaboration effort between Veterans United and Sincerely Ellis, and we were completely surprised. There was a huge there was a lot of people there, camera crews, and we were completely overwhelmed, surprised, and I think all of us broke down and cried a little bit because it was the most generous gift, and we had been trying for months to go after grants. I think it's been 4 grants before receiving the Veterans United grant money that we had submitted, and we didn't win, unfortunately, but we kept trying. And the biggest challenge with not receiving those grants prior to Veterans United was because the explanation was that we weren't established. We were a startup. We needed to show a little bit more progress with, showing our build out and being operational for probably at least a year. So Veterans United, took a risk on us. They had employees that were our champions and advocates, and they helped us get that grant, along with Sincerely Ellis giving us a sizable donation as well. So we are extremely grateful.
Well, congratulations on that. That's obviously big news. And you just mentioned going for those grants and some of the struggles with it. It really is one of my favorite questions to ask: biggest swing and miss, and what did you learn from it? Because we all have those swings and misses, and hopefully when we learn from them, sometimes it's out of our control, but there'll be mistakes, so there'll be lessons learned along the way, and I'm sure that has been the case too. So how about a big swing and miss, Michelle or Lindsay?
I can take it. I think for me personally, like I said earlier, I started in the Olathe School District 17 years ago, and left about 2 years later. I had a little pressure from family thinking that I needed to make more money. So I left and took a sales job, and quickly realized that I swung and missed. That was not my passion. That was not what made me happier. And I could not have met the people that I've met and developed the relationships that I have to make the Golden Scoop happen. So that's probably my biggest swing and miss, but it all turned out how it was supposed to. So,
yeah. And by the way, most of us have experienced that lesson at some point along the way. Not me, by the way. When you start out in television, they pay you no money, and the lesson becomes stay with it. Or those that don't maybe regret it later. But, I had a high school kid ask me that question the other day. When you're looking for a job, do you go for the money or do you go for, and it seems like such an obvious thing, but when we're younger, we don't always know that. And I pointed out too, that sometimes you got to go for the money. Sometimes you don't have that choice, but when you can find that passion, which it sounds like to me, all three of you ladies have here, it is so rewarding and so fulfilling. And hopefully the money then comes afterwards. So how about small ball? And I'll continue to remind my audience that my first book is coming out in a couple of weeks. It is about small ball, the little things that add up to the big things. It's called Small Ball, Big Results. So Michelle or whoever else would want to jump in, what are the little things that add up to the big things for the Golden Scoop?
So I would say that really our fundraising efforts have been small balls. It's been very much a grassroots effort, just because we have had some difficulty securing grants because we are a startup. We have lots of foundations that have said, please contact us when you open, the minute you open. Our number one goal is to pay our super scoopers above minimum wage from day one. And so we've had a very successful grassroots fundraising efforts. We've had people in Florida donate $10. That $10 is probably a lot of money to that individual that donated it. They don't know us, but that $10 pays for an hour of our super scoopers to be, at our store. And so that has just been huge, and it's added up. We're not at our goal, but we're slowly getting there. And it's just with these small donations of people who don't know us, but believe in us or believe in our super scoopers. So I would say that that's kind of been our grassroots efforts have been our small balls, and they're starting to add up, which is pretty amazing.
Well, and that's the point, right? I mean, It's those, I say it in baseball terms, those little singles and bunts that suddenly add up, and you've put a lot of runs across the board, and it's just it's a daily process. It's that slow, and then suddenly it grows and grows and grows. This is amazing. Okay, I've got 4 final questions as we round the bases. You guys don't know what these are yet, but they won't be difficult. They're all in your lane. So the first question I would ask, and any of you or all of you can jump in. Do you have a favorite flavor so far that has been envisioned, created, or anything? I could ask you that, well, we wouldn't want to do this. There could be some bad ones too, I suppose. It's all a matter of taste, right? And people will ultimately find out, but I'm sure the creativity is going to be off the charts. So anybody have a favorite flavor?
Yeah, we've been able to be a part of research and development for Michelle. It's been a lot of fun. But I have to say our signature flavor is definitely my favorite. It's the Golden Crunch. And it's, as Michelle says, it's named after a famous cereal. I'm sure you can figure that out. So, and we're going to sell the Golden Crunch in the store too. But that is definitely my favorite flavor.
That sounds pretty good, by the way. I imagine there are going to be a lot of fun things like that, a lot of cereal type of flavors, or a lot of just not your ordinary chocolate chip or mint chocolate chip or whatever, right? That's the creativity of all of your super scoopers, right?
Absolutely.
Anybody else have a favorite flavor, or is that the one at this point?
I'm kind of partial to the bourbon vanilla, but I'm a bourbon girl, so.
I want to know who came up with that one. I like that one. I like that one too. All right. Second question as we round the bases. And I mentioned the website before. If everybody goes on there, and I just showed it on the live stream, there's this awesome picture of the three of you, and I think a couple of your employees kind of striking a pose. When you're around those kids or those young adults, let's go around the horn here. What does it do for you, that feeling? What does it do, Lindsay?
It makes me happy. I mean, every individual, like I said, even when you come into the Golden Scoop, if I'm having a bad day and I have the opportunity to work with these individuals every day, but just being with them, it just makes me happy. So it's very rewarding.
Amber?
They give me new energy every day, and they motivate me on a daily basis. It makes me appreciate what I've got.
Michelle, how about you?
You know, they bring you joy, and without sounding so hokey, when you see somebody conquer a fear or, really excel at doing something or trying something new and being good at it, when you have a typical individual, it's wonderful. But when you see an atypical or non-typical or whatever terminology you want to use, when you see them conquer a fear or you see them, complete a task or really master a task, the joy on their face, literally I could start crying because it is just so moving. And I'll give you one little cute story, and really Lindsay should probably correct me if I tell it wrong. But she and one of our super scoopers, Charlie, who's actually in the picture that you mentioned in front of our storefront, they were at a store the other day, and a woman came up to him and said, "Are you the one who works at the ice cream store?" And, Charlie's famous now. And quite frankly, all of our super scoopers should be famous because they're really just amazing individuals.
Well, and Lindsay, I'll let you pick up on that a little bit. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, these super scoopers are going to build not just reputations, but relationships with the clients.
Yes. Yeah. And not just Charlie. I mean, we had the opportunity. Yeah. Kendra Scott did a wonderful fundraiser for us as well. And just for them to be on social media, I mean, their faces just light up. So, but Charlie, it was yesterday actually, when the lady approached him and asked him if he ran the ice cream store, he smiled and he calls himself Famous Charlie. So it was a wonderful thing to experience. So
I'll tell you what, that's absolutely what it's all about. Michelle, I wanted to ask you for my third question. I mean, you're the one with the catering and the food background too. I'm guessing that you never envisioned being involved in something quite like this, but from the food standpoint, the catering background, you've got the expertise in terms of that. What do you think of all the product? I know we talked about a favorite flavor, but here you have this, this establishment now with this incredible group of employees. What do you think about the actual food product?
For me, it's actually a little bit of a dream come true. I've kind of always wanted to. My catering company actually got started on baked cupcakes and things like that, and just moved into, full on 100% catering, across the board. I'd love to cook. The kitchen is my happy place. And it got happier when we were making the Golden Crunch with Lucy and Charlie and Jill. And I mean, we had so much fun in the kitchen. And again, to see a skill mastered and to be able to pass along, I'm not one of those people that holds recipes as secrets, because I think that, your table is community and bringing people together. And that's what the Golden Scoop is all about. It's about bringing our community together and saying, hey, take a look at what this individual can do. You probably need them in your workplace of business as well. For me, this is multiple dreams coming true. And I, hope I do the Golden Scoop proud, because at the end of the day, it's got to taste good, and it will. So we're going to work real hard to make that happen.
Well, I love that too. And there's something else, and you all touched on it before. I mean, you're never going to run out of resources. So if one of the goals is to help develop your workers and they move on to something else because this was a springboard for them. And then, the next group comes in and the next group comes in and the Golden Scoop ends up being the place to come to set up your whole future. Or maybe they stay there and you've got, I keep calling them kids. They're not necessarily all kids and you're going to watch them get older. We were all getting older, right? But you might have some of these, young men and young women working for you for many, many years and part of the community and everything that we've talked about. So it's awesome. So that leads me to my final question, the walk-off. And by the way, tons of comments coming in. People can check them out on Facebook. I like Todd Logan said, that's going to be mine. I'm a bourbon guy. So I think he was referring to the vanilla bourbon. I could have been saying the same thing, by the way, as a bourbon guy myself. That'll probably be the first thing that I try over at the Golden Scoop. But let's go around the horn here. I'll start with Amber. Short-term and long-term goals. We touched a little bit on, a 5-year plan. What are the very short-term goals here for the Golden Scoop, especially during this crazy time we're still living in? And then where do you want to see it in 5 years?
Yeah, I think the short-term goal, we could easily become more than just a coffee and ice cream shop. We want to be a one-stop shop for our families who have a son or daughter or a relative, any relative with a disability, to come to for information. So one of the things we thought about doing when we open is having info nights, where all these organizations that support this underserved population come to our store, and we have the families come in and listen to their presentation and learn about the resources that they provide, because there's a lot of them out there and families just don't know what is available to them. So I would see that as a very short-term goal. Long-term goal, obviously, we'd love to see at least five of these locations around the Kansas City area in the next 5 years. We've talked to so many people who are from the Northland, Liberty area to be exact, and so many of them that we've talked to are looking forward to having our second location up there, hopefully.
Yep, I already saw a message coming in saying Liberty on the Facebook chat. So we're looking forward to that one. Michelle, I'll go to you next, short-term and long-term.
So short-term, get our doors open, be able to sustain and, have people come and see us and be able to pay our super scoopers from day one. Piggybacking on what Amber said, we've already had so many outreaches for people seeking employment, and we haven't even put out the call to hire. So that tells us that the need is great. So we definitely want to do that. The other thing is once COVID kind of settles down and all this mess is behind us, which hopefully will be very soon, we'd like to have the Golden Scoop go on the road. We'd like to have a cart where we can do ice cream happy hours at businesses or, parties or whatever it is that you want. That creates more jobs for our super scoopers, which is our goal. So those are some of the things that we'd like. And then ultimately, really, we want other businesses to accept our challenge to open up their hearts and their businesses to hiring some of these individuals.
I love that. And all the information everybody could want to find is on the goldenscoop.org, including location in Overland Park, Kansas, including how to seek employment. I would imagine that you would all say, don't be discouraged, even if there's a long line. You want to hear from everybody. I mean, it's amazing already seeing the amount of pictures and stories on the website. And this is even before launch. I mean, it's pretty amazing just to see the response. I'm not the least bit surprised by it either. Lindsay, I'll let you have the final word as someone that has worked in this industry with these kids for so many years and now seeing it all come to life in terms of an ice cream and coffee shop. Same question though, short-term and long-term, what are you thinking?
I mean, I think just to echo what Amber and Michelle said, first and foremost, get our doors open and let this community see how talented these individuals are. Long-term goal, definitely to have several locations so that we can provide employment for, as many as we can.
It's awesome. I can't wait. What do we have a time frame or when should we be looking out? Because I need to come try. I'll get off the diet if there is such a thing, and I'll try every single flavor if that helps. What are we looking at?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, well, we're hoping, and just due to COVID, there's been some setbacks a little bit. So we're hoping mid-February is kind of our goal right now. So
it kind of feels too like the world is going to start to be a better place. I hope by February. I'm not telling everybody everything is going to be over, but it seems to me, I just said this to my wife the other day, like, are we getting closer to the light at the end of the tunnel? I think we're getting closer, but we got a little ways to go. That's another discussion. But I know that when it all ends or starts to end, and then those warm months come back to here in Kansas City, there are going to be a lot of people wanting to come in to the Golden Scoop. So, ladies, first off, congratulations on doing something amazing in the community when you have the energy of all of your super scoopers combined with the joy of ice cream and coffee. Everybody's got to like one of those things, if not both of them, and all the different flavors and all of the skills that these kids are going to have. It's going to be a magical thing. I have no doubt about it. So to all three of you, thanks for joining the podcast. Best of luck. TheGoldenScoop.org is the way to find out more information. Lindsay, Krumbholz, Amber Schreiber, Michelle Reeves, thank you all so much for spending time today, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joel.
All right, ladies. Yeah, congratulations. Great job. And what an awesome episode. I cannot wait to go in to the Golden Scoop. A shout out to my sponsors, Kansas City Audio Visual, Kissick Construction, and Enterprise Bank and Trust. Businesses often come to Enterprise Bank because they demand and frankly are worthy of more than the status quo and need a local partner who understands their business. So thanks to Enterprise, to Kansas City Audio Visual, and to Kissick Construction. Thanks for listening and watching Rounding the Bases, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust. Hope to catch you next time.